Everyone, my name is CPA Arengo, your lead instructor in mDarasa e-learning platform. So, I know a lot of us have been waiting on this special day where we are going to learn how we can handle quantitative papers. Recalling our previous sessions, we've been looking at how we can handle statement papers and theory papers. Ideally, it's all about us understanding how we should handle the KASNEB papers, and specifically we are talking about CPA. And recall, in our previous session, we talked about categories, how these papers are categorized. CPA papers are categorized. And in our categories, if you can recall very well, we said that we will be talking of the following. We will be talking of, number one, we talked of the aspect known as statement papers. We had talked about statement papers. Statement papers. We say that we'll be having theory papers. And also we said that we'll be having, number three, term them as what? Quantitative papers. Quantitative papers. Quantitative papers. So we looked at the theory, and we had also looked at the statement papers on the best and smart strategy that you can apply to handle these papers. So in this auspicious day, which is today, I want us to understand what is the best strategy that you can apply to these quantitative papers. And when you are talking of quantitative papers in KASNEB exams and specifically CPA, we normally tend to talk about the following. Number one, we normally tend to talk about the aspect to do with management accounting, which is in section 2. Talk about advanced management accounting, which is in section 5. Talk about financial management, which is in section 3. And talk about advanced financial management, which in this case, it is in section 5. Then the last one, we normally tend to talk about quantitative analysis, commonly known as QA, which is in section 4. So these are the quantitative papers that we'll always be talking about. And you will note that the strategy of handling these quantitative papers, ideally from MA to QA, they are just the same. First of all, it is important for us to understand how these papers are structured, more so when it comes to the aspect to do with what? To do these quantitative papers. So understanding the structure, it will be very important for us, because from the structure, we can devise a strategy on how you can handle these papers. Ideally, again, they are very simple to pass. So long as you apply smart strategy, you'll find that passing these papers will be very easy for us. And the question will be, how will we pass these papers? First of all, before we look at a specific areas that you should be very good at, I want us to look at it in a general perspective. So we start with the concept. First thing that, looking at the structure, again, I'll always be given 5 compulsory questions. That is question number 1, question number 2, question number 3, question number 4, and question number 5. These are 5 compulsory questions that you must do. And first thing at the back of our mind, we should know that never leave a blank space. That should always be our rule. If you want to pass these papers very well, the first thing that we should always be having at the back of our mind is we should never leave a blank space. That one should always click at the back of our mind. The moment we are able to identify that one, these questions are structured just like any other for a statement or a theory papers. You'll find that I'll be having part A, I'll be having part B, and I'll be having part C. 2, maybe you can talk of A, B, C. For C, maybe you're given 1, you're given 2. How they're normally structured, right? On this other case, maybe you can talk about, maybe you have A, B, C, D. The same case, maybe you're given, say, like A, 1, 2. Then you're given B, say, like 1, 2. Then you're given, say, like C. Maybe you have, say, like C, just as it is. Then talk of question number 5. Talk of question number 5. Maybe you can be given, say, like talk of maybe you're given A, B, C. Maybe B, you have part 1 and you have part 2. So these are how these papers are structured. These are how these papers are structured. Now, I want us to dissect each and every concept here. I want us to dissect each and every concept here on how or the best strategy that you should always apply, because it's all about strategies. As you had mentioned earlier on, it's all about strategies. So, to handle this very well, the first thing that we should always have in mind is that we have theory parts in these questions. And again, you'll find that at this point, my good students, the first strategy that we mentioned that we must always apply in each and every question, should it be statement, should it be theory, or should it be quantitative papers? This is the first thing. Take your first 5 to 10 minutes to go through all the questions. The same concept will apply here. Take your first 10 minutes to go through all the questions in that paper. After you've gone through all the questions on that paper, the second step to follow will be now try to handle, identify, or scrub, or term it as sketch your points. More so for theory, again, you'll find that the same concept for theory part on these quantitative papers, you'll be given theory of up to 40, or rather term it as a 30 to 40%. This will comprise of theory. Maybe A, you're given certain marks, but ideally, theory part will comprise, let us go with the minimum, assuming you're going with 30%. Then computation part of it, computation part of this will give us the 70%. As I've said, this can go up to 40%, the theory part. This can go up to 40%, but we are going with a minimum of 30%. So you have your minimum 30% and you have your computation 70%. And on this theory, you can easily scoop this point very well. But first of all, we are starting with sketching our theory parts. We sketch all our theory parts, just sketching some points. We just do sketch some points. We do sketch some points on these theory parts. We do sketch some points. Just sketch, just be sketching some points. the one that ideally they are coming at the back of your mind then. Because at that point, remember, your mind will be very fresh. Your mind will be very, very fresh. After I have sketched all this theory part, because on the sketch, out of 30%, trust you me, you can scoop up, say, like 20%. That is just from sketching, right? So you have, say, like 20% from sketching. Remember, at that point, you haven't yet even go ahead and probably start thinking a lot about that concept. You're just sketching your points. After we've sketched our points, as I'm sketching my theory part, the same time I should be sketching the formulas. I am going through the question. I'm sketching my points in regard to theory, and make sure that again you have your formulas at the tips of your hand. Make sure you have your formulas. Make sure you have your formulas. So at this point, also as I'm sketching the theory part, make sure that you are also sketching what? The formulas without doing anything. You're just going through the question. Maybe you've identified that this question maybe is EBQ. Maybe you've identified that this question probably is EOQ. Or maybe you've looked at this question, probably you need to determine, say, like the standard deviation of the portfolio, right? So you are just sketching your formulas. So while sketching these formulas, assuming in each component you're sketching a formula, right? Assuming that in each part you're sketching a formula, you're sketching your formulas, you're just sketching your formulas, my good students. You're just sketching your formulas. The one that you can remember, and that's why it's very important that anytime you are dealing with quantitative papers, make sure at any given point, before even you go to look at the computation part of it, make sure that you've grasped the formula very well. You just have to understand the formulas. So make sure you've grasped the formulas. Now, after I have these formulas, I have marked them in each and every question. Remember, formulas will always give you marks. Formulas will always give you marks. After I have identified my formula, my good students, because at this point, working out with your formulas, you're having 5 questions, right? In each and every question, assuming you've marked your formulas correct, these formulas, trust you me, will give you, say, like 10 marks, or even they can go up to 12 marks. So at this point, these are just from sketching. Right? These are just from sketching. Now, after I have identified our formulas, remember you've written your formula somewhere, you've sketched your points. At this point you say theory, it was roughly like up to 30%, right? And we said it can go even up to 40%, but we've gone with the minimum. After I have done all this, I've marked my formulas very well. And make sure at this point you have your formulas correct, right? So I'm having like 10% for formulas. This is just from sketching. And I'm having, say, like 20%. These are from theory, ideally just from what? Just from sketching. Already at this point, you're talking of, say, like 30%. These are just from sketching. Again, you've taken maybe, say, like 30 minutes doing that. You've taken, say, like 30 minutes doing that. The other question would be, how will I earn the other 20%? From what you have identified, from your sketches, you should be able to analyze the question that will give you the maximum marks. The question that will give you maximum marks. That is what you need to identify from all that you have been doing. From all that you've been doing, you should be able to identify the question that should give you maximum marks. Say, assuming that I've started with question 4, which in this case, maybe this is the one that will give me my maximum marks. Start with the question by first of all writing your sketches now in a proper manner. You are putting them now on your booklet. Because when putting your sketches on the booklet, you'll find that theory you'll be having more points, which in that case you'll be increasing your points here. Maybe from 20%, while doing all that, maybe you're going to increase, assuming you're not getting all, right? You're getting, say, like 25%. And the other case, now when it comes to computation part of it, maybe assuming I am looking at the concept of, maybe talk of what? Maybe I'm looking at the concept of break-even point. Break-even point, already I had written my formulas correct, right? Already I had written my formulas correct. Already my break-even point, I had written our formula correct. Maybe I'm talking of our break-even point to be fixed cost of contribution margin if I'm dealing with a single product, right? In the event that probably I'm dealing with a multiple product, maybe I've written break-even point should be, say, like fixed cost of summation of what? Weighted average contribution margin. That is what you are looking at. Or maybe in that case, that is what we have in this formula. So after I have written that one, my formula, this formula should guide you very well. And how will it guide you? It will be upon you to understand these, some of the components you'll always be given. Say like fixed cost, you identify your fixed cost. Remember, you're breaking down your formula while you're working out that question, right? Contribution margin, you're breaking it down completely. Talk about the aspect of what? Maybe talk about the aspect of your weights. You're breaking your weights down completely. Or maybe you are talking of the aspect of the weighted average. You are breaking them completely. After you're breaking this, the moment that you are able to break these questions, my good student, at any given point, irrespective of what you are doing, and you are able to break these points very clearly, trust me, at this point, you should be able to have, say, like 2 marks, right? You should be able to have, say, like 2 marks, or give it like 1 mark. Give it like 1 mark. Give it like 1 mark. Remember, at this point, you are breaking down your formulas. Already the first thing that you did, you identified your formulas, which you had your marks, right? Then come here, you are breaking down your formulas. You're breaking down your formulas. You're breaking down your formulas. And that's why it's always very important that you must always have the formulas at the tips of your hand. So I'm breaking my formulas at this point. I'm getting, say, like a mark in each breakdown of our formula. Because there's no shortcut on this. You must have the formulas at the back of your mind. There is no shortcut when it comes to that. So, look at this point, my good students. You've broken down your formulas. At this point already, while breaking down your formulas, maybe in each and every component here, maybe you had some formulas, right? Maybe you had some formulas in each and every part here. In each and every question, you had written your formulas, and now you are breaking down your formulas. While breaking down your formulas, 2 marks for each and every component. Trust me, in this case, maybe you can earn, assuming if you say like 10 in each and every component has a formula, right? And maybe in that case, you have, say, like, you can scoop, these will give you like, maybe term it as, say, like 20% by just breaking down your formulas. So remember at this point, these are the theory part you've increased. So breaking down the formula, writing the formula and breaking down the formula, my good student, trust me, at this point, maybe you have, say, like another, say, like 25%. Because you're giving it 10 and you're giving it, say, like 15 on that case. So you've written your formula and you've broken down your formula. You have, say, like 25%. On this other theory, already you had 25%, right? You're doing all that. And even if you take your paper right now for your quantitative, take your AFM paper, or even take your QA paper, you'll find that whatever that I'll have written at that point, whatever that I'll have written at, just a moment. So we are saying that at this point, whatever that I'll have written, sorry for that. Okay, so we are saying that at this point, you'll find that this equation has been set, right? This equation that has been set, and always it will always apply like that. Trust you me. Take your paper. I've been given part A, that is theory. I've been given part B, maybe part B1, working out a concept in relation to where I'm having a formula which I've inserted. Then maybe part 2. Part 2 again will relate with that formula, whatever that you've written there. So that if you scope this correct, the aspect of formula, you'll find that part 2 is going to relate with whatever that you'll have written here, even if you don't know, my good students. Maybe you're going to be asked a concept relating with that, which probably will follow with another formula, or at that point maybe you'll be asked a theory part relating with what you've done. A theory part relating with what you've done on top there. You'll find that on that case again you'll be scooping some marks. Don't take a lot of marks. Just give it, say, like 10%. Give it like, at that point, give it like 10%. So it can go more than this. So it can go more than this 10%. So it can go more than the 10%. So in all this, remember, I am scooping some points based on whatever that I had written as scratch. You haven't gone intense and maybe thinking it deeply. You'll find that from the sketches, theory, formulas and interpreting the formulas, and also looking at what? And also looking at the aspects that related to the formulas. Already I have scoped another 10%. So at this point you are talking of what percentage? You are talking of like almost, that should give you like 60%. And while doing all this, in this case it can take you roughly like almost 2 hours. That is analyzing, maybe implementing whatever that you've sketched, or maybe whatever that you've analyzed, putting it on paper. This can take you roughly like 2 hours. Now, of course, there are those areas that you need to put more effort or more thinking on the same in regard to interpretation and all that. Already you have 1 hour to do all this. So while having this 1 hour, try to go through the question and identify areas that hata kama imekuwa ngumu namna gani, umeona yenyewe kusema ukweli hapa mimi naona giza, just don't leave a blank space. Don't leave a blank space. So the trick is understand as many formulas as you can. Theory, never leave a blank space when it comes to theory. And also, while doing these formulas, you should be able to interpret your formulas. When you have that in mind, it will be very easy for you guys to handle these papers very well. It will be very, you will be in a very, very good position to handle these papers. Then, after you've talked of that, you'll find that, again, there are some specific topics that if I am good at in these quantitative papers, I should be very good. And I should be very good on the same. And I think I talked about that when we were looking at the video of how to prepare for exams. Remember, at this point, we are now in the exam room. We had looked at a video, or rather I did a video, how to prepare for exams, which the link is just below this video. If you go to details, the link is just below this video. So if you approach these quantitative papers with the tips that I gave you on how to prepare, and the tips that I'm giving you now when you are in exam room, you'll find that passing these papers will be very easy. And I'm insisting again, there are some specific topics in all this. There are some specific topics in all this that if you are able to master them, if you'll be able to master some specific topics in these areas, you should be very good. Management accounting, of course, I had mentioned that one. Advanced management, I had mentioned that one. Advanced financial management, and QA. I had mentioned all the areas that you must be very good at. It is kind of, they'll give you a foundation on what will be required to handle when it comes to what? When it comes to the whole structure of if it is QA, if it is MA, or if it is MA. So kindly, I want you guys to check that video. So, looking at this point, when I'm at 60% already I've passed. And it's very possible. At this point, you'll find that while struggling to handle all other things, just scoop, say, like 10%. While you're struggling now to think deeply, unaanza kujikuna kichwa, unaanza kuangalia mawingu. At this point, you can scoop another 10%. And if you're at 70, have you passed or have you not passed? If you're at 70, have you passed or have you not passed? Already you have passed your exams, right? Already you have passed your exams. So, kindly approach or use the tricks I've given you while handling all this. The key thing is be very good in theory, because theory can come almost up to 40%. So be very good in theory. Then also understand the formulas as much as you can. Try to put all the formulas at the back of your head as much as you can. Then when you're done with that case, try to interpret these formulas. By just understanding and interpreting these formulas, understanding the formulas, interpreting the formulas, and also working out theory, already you are 60%. Already you are at 60%. So, if you use these tricks, my good student, I believe after your exams, you are going to call us and say, Mwalimu, honestly, you really assisted us. I believe you are going to call us, guys. And we are open. Our next, probably for those students who are ongoing, we are open from 24th May is when our semester will be commencing. Our classes are always done online. We normally tend to have two packages. The first package ideally is for recorded classes, which these classes you can access them at any given point in time. And also you can download these videos to watch and view even without internet. The other package is live sessions, which for these live sessions we normally do conduct them as per the set timetable. And our classes are usually on part-time basis. We don't have day classes online as at this point. Our classes are conducted on part-time basis. And whenever I'm talking of part-time, we normally tend to talk of early morning. We normally tend to have classes from early morning, that is 6:15 to 7:45 a.m. Evening, our classes usually start from 6 to 8. Then other classes, they do start from 8:30 to 10. This is PM. So you'll find that most of the classes, ideally, we normally conduct them on part-time basis. For any information and any inquiries, you can call us on the number that is below this video. To that juncture, my good students, I want to wish you all the best in your upcoming exams. All I want you guys to have is the confidence. Watu ni kujiamini. watu ni kujiamini. So have that confidence. Try to fight your anxiety as much as you can. And the moment you're able to fight your anxiety, you'll find that you will be very, very good to prepare for your exams. So to that juncture, thank you so much, and meet you in our classes as we'll be beginning our semester from 24th. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.